Hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. I come to you live from our studios here at Kuhumlimle. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Tonight, thousands of BEC candidates in limbo as over 107,000 qualified students struggle to secure spots on GES computerized school selection placement system. We speak to the Ghana Education Service as frustrated parents and students voice their frustrations in accessing the portal more than a day after it was opened. Also tonight, the Ghana Medical Association warns it won't shield any bad nuts, admitting some doctors are battling drug abuse. We'll hear from GMA leadership as the Medical and Dental Council suspends 51 doctors over drug addiction and mental health issues and set up a committee to assess if they are fit to continue practicing. Also tonight, education sector crisis looms as Teachers and Educational Workers Union TEWU declares nationwide strike effective tomorrow over their conditions of service. We have details as the Labour and Employment Minister says efforts are underway to engage leadership of TEWU to resolve the matter. And later in the bulletin, Ghana's Deportee deal with the U.S. faces fresh legal threats as the national organizer for the NPP vows a return to the Supreme Court, describing government's action as, quote, reckless and disregard for rule of law, unquote, for both Parliament and for the Supreme Court. We'll give you details here on Joy News Prime. My name is Faustina Safo. It's a pleasure to host you. Choosing us. Tonight, BEC candidates are facing a bittersweet reality. While over 590,000 students qualified for senior high school placement, a staggering 107,000, nearly 1 in 5, are left navigating the uncertain waters of self-placement on the Ghana Education Services computerized school selection and placement system portal. About 483,000 candidates secured spots automatically, leaving others to compete for the remaining vacancies. Collins Frimpong has more in the following report.
Over 590 students were qualified for placement into various senior high school of choice after a successful BEC this year. But Deputy Minister of Education Dr. Clement Apak, during a media briefing at the ministry, revealed just about 483,000 managed to secure automatic slots, with nearly 1 in every 5 students is unable to access their preferred schools.
This remarkable milestone reflects our collective progress in expanding access to secondary education. I am pleased to announce that 483,800 candidates, representing 82%, have been successfully placed. Of this figure, 248,038 students are female, constituting 51.4%, and 234,783 are males, constituting 48.6%. However, 107,509 candidates, making up 18.2%, could not be matched with their initial choices due to the high demand for Category A schools.
Dr. Apak added that 70 private schools have been included in a private pilot program, with 21 schools part of the automatic placement, while other schools are available for self-placements.
The 70 private schools we currently have on a pilot basis could not be added for the automatic selection. But we have added them onto the system, and they are available through the self-placement process.
Even more chaotic, scores of frustrated parents and students have expressed their worry over their struggles accessing the portal more than a day after it was opened. According to messages received, some students have not been able to access the portal more than 24 hours it was opened.
Well, let's get on the phone lines now and speak to the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Education Service, Daniel Faye. We appreciate your time here on Joe News Prime. Already, we're receiving reports from some concerned parents and even students that they are unable to access the portal. How is GS addressing this concern?
All right, thank you very much. In fact, I must admit that we have also received similar reports. Now, so there are 3 levels that we have observed or noticed in the report that we are getting. So number 1 level is that there are those who log in and they are not able to access it at all, even though their network is strong, even though they are able to fill in everything they have to with respect to their index number and then the year of completion and everything, but they are not able to access the portal. For this category, the initial explanation we are able to give is that from what we have observed, there are about 600,000 interest parties. When I say interest parties, I mean students, their parents, and then some of them, their relatives, who are all trying to log in, access the portal, and then access the placement of their child, of their brother, of their sister. And so these numbers are causing some traffic on the portal, as of course as expected. And so whenever you have huge numbers of people making an attempt to access a particular portal, such circumstances or such situations are quite expected to happen. So that is the first category. The second category we have observed in the report we have received are those who actually get the feedback that the automatic placement has not been done yet for the awards. For that, the response is that feedback they get is actually not a system problem. It's actually not a problem from their side or from our side. What they see is an honest feedback. It's an actual feedback we are programmed for persons whose placement has not been done yet. And so I would urge that parents, students should take that as a feedback that they have gotten from logging onto the portal. So it's not a systemic problem or it's not a challenge. And for such people who get that feedback, the tendency that they will be placed is very high because it will mean that their placement is still under consideration. So that's the second category.
And
then the third category.
Okay.
The third category are those who have local specific challenges. When I say local specific challenges, I mean we have persons who find themselves in locations where network is generally slow or a challenge, or persons who are using devices that are quite slow, or persons who at their personal level have challenge navigating around technological devices. And so this category, we have classified them as those with local specific issues. So it means their issues are not systemic issues or generic issues. Theirs are based on their own circumstances, location, their own comfortability with navigating around technology and all that. And so for such persons, we would urge that they seek support from the district education office or the regional education office or any person around. You know, we have received report of some cafes supporting some of the students. And so you could get support from these district or education, regional education officers.
Thank
However,
you so much.
let me indicate strongly that every Ghanaian child, every single Ghanaian child who has completed junior high school and has qualified to go to senior high school, we, Ghana Education Service, will facilitate that process for them.
Thank you so much, Daniel. At this point, I have to let you go. Still on education, Ghana's education sector is on the brink of a major crisis as the Teachers and Educational Workers Union, TEWU, has declared an indefinite strike effective tomorrow, September 19, 2025. The action, which affects non-teaching staff across public and technical universities, the Ghana Education Service, the Ghana Library Authority, Museums and Monuments Board, as well as other key institutions, is expected to paralyze vital operations from libraries and laboratories to classrooms and administrative offices. There's more in the following report.
TEWU's demands include the immediate signing of conditions of service for its members, inclusion in the Continuous Professional Development Allowance, and resolution of long-standing promotion grievances. In a blistering statement, the union accused government and its agencies of persistent failure and reckless disregard for the welfare of non-teaching staff. Meanwhile, Labour Minister Rashid Pelpo says government has already engaged the Finance Ministry to fashion out a broader solution that addresses not only TEWU's grievances but also the concerns of other unions threatening strike action. He added that efforts are underway to reach TEWU leadership for further talks.
We have taken notice of their demands. They had come over to my office. They had discussed their challenges. I made arrangements and had a meeting with the finance minister. We discussed it extensively, and he proposed ways by which he will tackle it after comprehensively looking at not just their own, but the other proposals sent to us by various organizations who are also threatening strike actions. We think that as a government, to tackle them individually will create much more problems for the labor force in Ghana. Rather than doing so, we thought that we have a comprehensive approach by the Ministry of Finance to their demands. So in the end, it will be seen as solving the problems. I am looking out to have a chat with them to give them assurance that what they are asking for temporarily.
TEWU has warned that any attempt to intimidate its members will amount to unfair labor practice.
Well, let's explore this further here on Joy News Prime. Join me now is labor expert Austin Game. We appreciate your time on Joy News Prime. We've just been hearing from the Employment Minister give the assurance that he would be liaising with TEWU to deal with their concern. But one of the greatest concerns they've raised is neglect for their welfare. How do you think this can be tackled moving forward?
Appreciate the concerns that they have. However, I am surprised that at this age of this nation and our investors, negotiation between the employer at the university level and TEWU as a legitimate trade union should become a governmental issue. I think we have come of age. We cannot continue to be soiling ourselves at this stage. So I think that it's important that the employer who interviews and employs people at the university, and it's about an allowance that should not become a problem because the university is open to training people. So if it's about training and development allowance, what kind of allowance, what kind of training do we need? Because the labor law is very clear. That is the duty of the employer to train, retrain, and develop the skill of the worker. So what kind of training regime do they have in place that will be warranting a separate allowance to be paid other than training the people?
And are you proposing that we adopt the internal structure approach where internally generated funds should be used to cater for some of these minor allowances? Is that what you're proposing?
Not just that, so that they can train the people also as they are requesting. I mean, it's their legitimate right under the law, under Section 10. It is the right of the worker to be trained. So it is their right. It is the duty of the employer under Section 9 to train and to develop their skill. So I do not see it as a problem, but I want to urge them. And the National Union will have to take full responsibility for this, because they are expected to be the direct people that the employer, being the university authorities, not the minister, Dr. Rashid Purple, to be the one now inviting them for a chat on this issue. It's the employer at the university level. And I want to urge them to do just that. You know, both sides, if they come to the crunch and they cannot see eye to eye with one another, the law is very clear that they should go to the National Labour Commission, which now is more efficient than before, to enable them to get seated and have these matters resolved.
Thank you so much for your time here on Joe News Prime. Away from that, Member of Parliament for Klotekole constituency, Dr. Zenata Jiman Rawlings, has called on the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to open full-scale investigations into the takeover of lands at the Abuja CMB market in Accra. The Ghana Private Roads Union of the Trades Union Congress and traders have been in arms with some private developers who they accuse of encroaching on the land they said has been earmarked for a lorry station. Speaking at a press conference on the matter in Parliament, Senator Jiman Rawlings said EOCO must step in to avert any further escalation of the matter. James Aveji has more in the following report.
Dozens of drivers of the Ghana Road Transport Union, GPRTU, their counterpart from the Concerned Drivers Union and others, took to the streets on Tuesday to protest over encroachment of their station land at the Central Business District. Their demand was that all private developers vacate immediately.
So we and the GPRTU, we came together that no, this thing has happened several times, and always they will come and drop all the women, the men away, and that is why you have been seeing a lot of women on the street.
MP for the area, Dr. Zenata Jiman Rawlings, at a press conference in Parliament to address the situation, first indicated that her checks with the then Minister for Transport, when the matter first came up in 2018, indicated that the land in question belongs to government.
He did confirm that the land over there, which is popularly known as the Abuja CMB market, is railways land. And as a matter of fact, he mentioned that at the time, only a small portion of the land was supposedly being redeveloped to form housing quarters for some of the railways workers. He could not confirm that some of the activities that were happening on the land were indeed under the permission of the railways ministry at the time. Unfortunately, subsequent to that, a lot of other private individuals did demolish structures over there, did threaten to evict the drivers from these areas, and started building structures, claiming that they had the power to do so for political reasons.
She did not only condemn the encroachment, but also called on the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, to investigate and unravel those behind the sale.
And so what I would like to do is unequivocally and to condemn what is happening in this enclave, because it is very clear that this land is state land and should not be taken over by private individuals, especially when we are not sure who is giving the permission. And so I would like to call on the Minister of Transport, under whom the railways development is situated, to really come out and give clear guidance on this. In addition to that, I would like to call on EOCO to investigate this, because this is causing a huge uproar in terms of people's stability. A huge part of our informal sector is situated in the CMB Abuja Market Enclave.
According to her, the matter must be addressed immediately and the land returned to the drivers to avert possible escalation of the situation and threat to food security in Accra.
Over thousands of market women, not to mention the hundreds of drivers who operate there, will be completely devastated in terms of their livelihoods, and it will affect our food security in Accra. Sometimes it appears as though some of these things may not be related, but this is related to our very livelihood and our food security. It's the reason why during the lockdown of COVID, that market was allowed to continue operating because of the key position that it holds in terms of our commerce and in terms of our food security.
It is not yet clear how soon government will resolve the issue, but the position of the drivers is clear. They want all encroachers to vacate the land so they can restore it to its intended purpose. James Savaji, Joy News.
Away from that, the governing NDC is buzzing with whispers about potential flag bearers for the 2028 presidential election, given President Mahama's constitutional term limit ending in January 2029. National Chairman Johnson Asiedu Nketia, Chief of Staff Julius Debra are emerging as key figures in the speculation. The following NewsDesk report takes a look at these potential contenders and their subtle moves ahead of that crucial election.
The National Democratic Congress's flag-bearer race is already generating buzz. Despite being some years away, it's already shaping up to be a captivating political drama, with several high-profile figures making subtle moves that hint at their bigger ambitions. The national chairman, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, is currently on a 3-day thank-you tour in the Eastern region, visiting 16 constituencies. While officially framed as a gesture of appreciation to party members and grassroots organizers for their role in the 2024 election victory, whispers within the party suggest the tour is a subtle launchpad for his presidential ambitions. Asiedu Nketia's tour has sparked some debate, with critics like Ras Mubarak calling it a dangerous precedent.
When we begin to run a party like this, we're introducing chaos into the party. I think it's an unnecessary distraction. He should focus on delivering his mandate as the board chairman. Nobody should take advantage of, their position in the party to do things anyhow. We're introducing chaos to the party. Can you begin to think the confusion that would erupt in the party if all those who led decided to go on a thank-you tour? They are also entitled to it. They went around, made promises. And so if the president goes around to thank the people, he's thanking them on everybody's behalf. And that should suffice. But this business of introducing a thank-you tour by the chairman because the chairman led it is something that, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that it is a ruse to advance a premature presidential ambition.
But the 68-year-old experienced politician who's seen by supporters as a unifier and a visionary for inclusive progress, has defended the rationale behind the tour.
We hatched a plan in the lead up to the 2024 general elections. The National announced 3 campaign teams. President John Mahama and his running mate focused on the presidential race, while I deal with the NPP strategy to undermine our electoral victory by sweeping parliamentary seats. And having led that successful operation, it is in order to go round and express appreciation for the support the base of the party gave in winning the parliamentary majority.
Presidency officials see the tour as ill-timed, risking distraction from core governance tasks. Asiedu Nketia has said on record that he will not rule out presidential aspirations.
No serious politician rules out any position. It's known because it is ambition that drives politics. And if you rush to rule things out, you'll get to a point where you'll be at a corner where you regret having ruled out certain positions.
The differences in priorities may deepen rifts between party leadership and the presidency. 58-year-old Julius Debra is Chief of Staff to President John Mahama. Julius Debra is touted by Citizen Eye Ghana as the most strategic NDC candidate for 2028, citing his regional balance, age, governance experience, and leadership qualities. He's seen as embodying ethical, inclusive leadership, focusing on development and youth empowerment. Philanthropist and businessman Ibrahim Mahama is also rumored as a potential running mate, pairing with Julius Debra for a blend of political discipline and social impact. Other names that have emerged in the rumor mill includes Haruna Idrisu, who is the Minister for Education, and the respected northern figure, Minister for Food and Agric, Eric Opoku, Finance Minister Dr. Kasia Latoforsen, and Okujeto Ablakwa, who is in charge of Ghana's foreign affairs.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. When we return from this quick turn, we'll tell you the concerns about quack doctors infiltrating our medical system and concerns that medical doctors are now abusing drugs. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. To other stories now, the Ghana Medical Association says it will not shield any bad nuts within its ranks, acknowledging that some doctors are struggling with drug abuse. This follows a decision by the Medical and Dental Council to suspend 51 practitioners across the country over drug addiction and mental health concerns. The council says, though painful, the decision is necessary to protect patients and safeguard standards in the health sector. There's more in the following report.
Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council, Dr. Divine Banyubala, speaking on the Pulse on the Joy News channel, revealed that the affected practitioners showed clear signs of impairment, raising doubts about the ability to deliver safe and ethical care.
Fitness to practice comes in when we think that a practitioner has either infirmity of the mind or by issue of degeneration through age.
Right.
Their skills and competence. Imagine a surgeon, eminent surgeon who has developed Parkinson's. When we have dependency or addiction, these are all matters that touch on what we call fitness to practice.
The council also raised alarm over rising patient complaints, including shocking cases of doctors breaching professional boundaries. In one instance, a patient alleged a doctor sucked her breast during consultation.
So they have schizophrenia, which is a large box, about 30% of them. We have a group of them who have personality disorders, others suffering from depression, and others from substance
abuse
or addiction, whatever.
So when you say substance, what kind of substance? Illegal substance?
So some persons are on tramadol.
Right.
Addicted to tramadol, others on morphine, others on petidine, others on heroin, and others a mixture.
President of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Frank Serebo, admits some doctors do battle drug abuse and insists the association will not cover up for them. But he maintains the Medical and Dental Council must get its facts right, stressing that no GMA member has been suspended in the past 2 years.
Some of our health personnel do engage in some form of drug abuse. And it is not strange at all because we deal with drugs. Just as our patients abuse drugs, the same way when we also experience certain conditions and those drugs are prescribed to us and we see the euphoric effect of those drugs, sometimes we are hooked onto it. So we are not saying that we are immune to those nuances. So I think that the Medical and Dental Council will do us a lot of good if they are telling us over the period that they have had 51 doctors suspended for substance abuse, because we don't have 51 doctors suspended this year or last year.
GMA and Medical and Dental Council trade words. One thing is clear: public safety is at stake. Both bodies say their priority is safeguarding patients and restoring trust in the medical profession.
Still on health, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital received a little over 5,000 complicated diabetes referrals and more than 2,000 complicated kidney diseases in the first half of 2025 alone. This is according to statistics detailing trends in non-communicable diseases at the facility. Speaking during a needs assessment visit by the administrator of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, popularly known as Mahama Cares, ahead of the rollout of the initiative to tackle NCDs, the CEO of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yakubu Seidu Adam, expressed worry that people over 40 years are now increasingly reporting with cardiovascular diseases and other non-communicable diseases. There's more in this report by my colleague Maxwell Agwagwa.
The visit by officials of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, popularly known as Mahama Cares, and led by the fund's administrator Obubia Dakun-Opoku, was aimed at evaluating the availability and condition of diagnostic and treatment equipment for non-communicable diseases. The team also sought to identify service delivery gaps in patient flow referral systems and access to specialist care while gathering data on NTD patient demographics, disease burden, treatment outcomes, financial impact, and the availability and distribution of specialists. Statistics from the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital revealed 5,000 diabetes referrals and more than 2,000 kidney cases in the first half of 2025 alone. Cardiovascular diseases numbered 2,888, with cancers 1,252. The CEO of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Yakubu Seydou Adam, expressed worry that people under 40 years are now increasingly reporting with cardiovascular diseases and other non-communicable conditions.
Now, on regular basis, we are faced with cases with cardiovascular accidents, cases in people who are aged 35, 40. In the past, the mentality was that after 60 years, so you can do everything you can do, but when you get to 60, you start taking good care of yourself. These days, it's not so. Sometimes 35, 40.
The administrator of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, Mahama Cares Obubia Dakun-Opoku, said the visit at Korle Bu is part of a nationwide needs assessment to fully understand the scale of non-communicable diseases and the gaps in care delivery.
Revealing. I think that when you sit outside, you don't appreciate exactly what happens in Korle Bu. So I'm happy that at the end of the day we had the time with them and went round with them, and it has helped us. And the Mahama Cares simply cannot operate without doing the needs assessment of these facilities, because they are stakeholders, they are the ones that we're going to work with. We need to know what they need so far as the equipment are concerned, the ones that are working, the ones that needs to be replaced, the ones that needs to be worked on. And I think that this tour has really opened our eyes to a lot of the situations that are ongoing so far as the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital is concerned. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the management. They've been very welcoming. We met the CEO earlier on. The medical director has been with us throughout. We've been to all these departments, and I think that is helped us. I am confident that by the time we get the reports for the various departments and then move into action, we'll be good. For now, we need to talk about the prevention also, and then deal with the equipment replacement, equipment that we need so that people simply can prevent some of these ailments, because we're dealing with non-communicable diseases. I think that prevention is the first thing that we should be looking at.
Away from that, government is facing a storm of controversy surrounding U.S. deportees, with tensions escalating dramatically. The national organizer of the opposition New Patriotic Party, Henry Nana Boakye, is firing on all cylinders, threatening to haul Mahama administration back to the Supreme Court over alleged blatant disregard for Article 75 of the Constitution. Nana Boakye accuses the government of repeating the constitutional violations that led to the landmark Gitmo 2 case, where the Supreme Court ruled against the administration for accepting the Guantanamo Bay detainees without parliamentary approval. In a strongly worded statement, Henry Nana Boakye accused President Mahama, the Attorney General, and the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa of showing, quote, reckless disregard for both Parliament and the Supreme Court. On your screens now is that write-up he put up on social media, and we're just teasing out key portions of that. It reads, in 2016, I challenged the legality of President Mahama entering into an agreement with the USA to receive 2 former detainees of Guantanamo Bay into Ghana without parliamentary approval under Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution. The Supreme Court declared the actions of the then Mahama administration as unconstitutional and illegal. It will be recorded about that case. And so he goes on to state that, quote, I will be heading back to the Supreme Court to seek an enforcement of Article 75 of the Constitution in order to abate the ongoing assault on the Constitution by the executive. I have instructed my lawyers to commence the process. This flagrant disregard of our Constitution and the Supreme Court must not be allowed to fester. He goes on to state that, shockingly, I have cited an interview by the Foreign Affairs Minister, and he wrote this some days back, talking about this process, and he says, quote, he sought to incoherently justify President Mahama's decision to enter into an agreement with the USA to receive deportees from other West African countries without parliamentary ratification as required under Article 75 of the 1992 Constitution. He goes on to state that Ablakwa insisted that it was just a memorandum of understanding, hence parliamentary ratification was not required, and the minister remained intransigently in this position even after the host, Bernard Avlep, read the Supreme Court decision with emphasis, which emphasized the form of an agreement was immaterial. So he's referencing that show on which the Foreign Affairs Minister sought to justify the process. He goes on to state that MOUs, once it is between Ghana and another country, must be ratified under Article 75 of the Constitution if it creates legal obligation. He goes on to state that the President and Ablakwa can therefore not hide behind the form of an agreement being an MOU to claim that it is not a full-blown agreement, and same would be submitted to Parliament later when in substance the President has already operationalized the MOU by receiving a number of these deportees into the Republic. So that's the write-up by Henry Nana Boakye, just stating some of the key concerns he has. He has threatened to head back to court. Quite a lengthy write-up there. You can go on our social media handles at Joy News on TV to read the full post. You can also log on to myjoyonline.com. And you're still watching Joy News Prime. Away from that, air pollution is a silent assassin in Ghana, silently shaving off almost a year from every citizen's life. Shockingly, new data reveals it's now among the top 6 killers in the country, a grim statistic that demands urgent attention. The Air Quality Life Index paints a dire picture, really. Ghana's air quality is now more than double the World Health Organization's safe limit, putting millions at risk of succumbing to deadly diseases like asthma, lung cancer, heart diseases, and stroke. Clean Air reporter Michael Ashali has more in the following report.
Air pollution is silently cutting life short in Ghana. A global report, Air Quality Life Index from the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago says the country's dirty air now ranks among the top killers, stealing nearly a year of life from every Ghanaian. The WHO guideline for safe air is just 5 micrograms per meter cube. Ghana is at 12.5, more than double the WHO safe limit. Experts warn this puts millions at risk of heart disease, strokes, and cancer. Tanushri Ganguly is the director of the Air Quality Life Index program at EPIC.
What we are seeing in terms of impacts on life expectancy are derived through satellite estimates. And these satellite estimates also rely on what data is available through ground monitoring data. So without ground monitoring data, we also are a little uncertain about how close we are to the actual kind of pollution levels that people are breathing in this part of the world. So it's highly likely that I'm saying that, people in Ghana are losing 9.6 months of their life expectancy because of air pollution, but the true burden of pollution could be much higher, and and that would only become visible if more data is generated for the region. Yes, so OT and Ashanti region are where we are seeing the most highest impact of air pollution. So people are losing about 1 year of their life expectancy in this region. And one thing that really caught my eye was that particularly in the Ashanti region, between 1998 and 2023, so in this sort of period of 26 years, pollution has increased by almost 20%. So, which is a significant sort of concern that needs to be paid attention to because it seems to be also following an increasing trend.
Air pollution is now counted among Ghana's top 6 killers. It shortens more lives than unsafe water, alcohol, road crashes, and even tobacco. Only malnutrition, malaria, HIV/AIDS, and unsafe sex are higher. Across West Africa, Nigeria records the biggest impact, while Togo also sits above Ghana in life years lost to air pollution. Ghana has just passed its first ever national air quality standard, but experts say standards mean nothing without enforcement.
Many countries around the world focus on generating data, but then don't know what to do with it, right? So the first piece is to actively integrate data into decision making. What are you doing with that data becomes very, very important. The second is follow the science on where pollution is coming from. There are source attribution studies which are being conducted, and these studies, they generate wealth of information on which are the most polluting causes of pollution in a region. These studies need to form the foundation for any policy response to action. So the second is following the science on where pollution is coming from. And the third is, of course, it's great that the Parliament in Ghana has already introduced the air quality management regulation. The focus now should be on ensuring that the provisions in that law are robustly enforced.
The message is clear. Cleaning up the air could give Ghanaians back nearly a year of life. But it will take political will and real investment to stop pollution from silently stealing Ghana's future. For Joy News, Michael Ashale. This story was a collaboration with New Narratives. Funding was provided by the Clean Air Fund, which had no say in the story's content.
When we return, we'll bring you Showbiz. Please stay tuned in. You're still watching Joy News Prime, and it's time for Showbiz. Becky Bex joins me.
Hello to you, Fosti. How are you doing?
I'm very fine.
This evening, let's talk about filmmaker Ivan Kwashiga. He's also the chairman of the National Film Authority governing board, and he has announced that the authority plans to establish a national award scheme for the Ghanaian film industry. In an interview on Hit FM this morning, he said such an initiative will help to lift the sector, even though several private film awards exist.
It's important that we have an awards program as part of our agenda to push interest in Ghanaian films. Now, award shows provide recognition for films and the players in the industry. If we are able to put that together, when you have that, it throws the light on the winners as well as the whole industry.
Okay.
And so it is important that we have something like that. There are a couple of them that are there, but we need to have that National Film Award.
So this will be organized by NFA? Or would you
we have
outsourced to somebody to organize?
That is a discussion with them. But it's important that we have something like that.
Okay.
Because at least leading up to it, there's going to be a lot of conversations about which films are in the running to win. And then also post the event there. So if you have the event on a particular day, you are possibly going to have conversations around it for a couple of months. That will bring film on top of mind of people and would make people recognize the fact that there are films that they have not seen that they must go out to see. That is the idea.
Okay.
I haven't told your
hasn't
parents.
told their parents.
But we are mourning, Becky.
Yeah, we are.
Our grandmother has passed on.
And we're so sorry for, everything that happened. But we're grateful that you could join us here.
On Joy News Prime.
Yeah, I'd like to say a very big shout out to Uncle Sam. He is, fan of the Showbiz segment here on Joy News Prime. Uncle Sam, we say hello to you, myself, and Fosti.
Thank you.
Any other thing to tell?
No, please. We're mourning. Thank you, Uncle Sam, by the way.
Yeah, Uncle Sam.
We appreciate
Uncle
you.
Sam, please log on to myjoyonline.com. You know where to find us. We are your credible news source. Thank you so much.